Hello there, I'm going to do a double bill now with The Rescue and 13 Lives, which are two films about the same subject. One's a documentary, one's fiction. Rescue, for coming out first, it was a documentary about the Thailand rescue of 12 young football players and their coach, basically like 12-year-old, really. They went to a cave after the football practice, thinking it's safe because it's not monsoon season yet. I mean, it's a cave that gets shut off during certain parts of the year during monsoon season because it floods, but during the rest of the time it's viewed as safe. But unfortunately, the monsoon season hit way earlier than anyone imagined. They get trapped way down, way the far end of the cave, and for a long time no one's sure if they're even alive or not. And so this is the rescue of these boys and how it happened. How was it done, basically? Now, we all saw the headlines as it came out, and eventually the boys were rescued, and that was nice. But I was like most people, I knew in the background, I was like, I hope they're doing well, I hope they get out, basically, but I didn't know that much. I don't know much about cave diving. So, I come into this not knowing that much about the subject. And I should say I saw the 13 Lives before I saw Rescue. Even though it came out, it was one of those films I was planning to watch but never got around to it. Then I watched 13 Lives, and I thought I should watch The Rescue now. Because I heard The Rescue is better. The interesting thing is that they're both different versions of the same story. They suit each other's medium, basically. Like, The Rescue has more details. 13 Lives is more about the characters, but doesn't focus too much on one particular character. It is more of an ensemble. It has some stuff that's very much film, like film sentimentality. Ron Howard directs it. It cuts down a lot of sentimentality of a Ron Howard film, but there's still some things there. But you kind of need them. There's nothing there I found to be like, oh god, don't do that. It was much more like, you kind of need this. And he is good at actually, he has a lot of subtitles, like none of the characters who don't speak English, you get subtitles for them. And the characters speak English, they speak English. That's the thing they get. And The Rescue, it's just people talking to the camera about what happened, footage from the rescue, from what they've got, and talking about the variety of different feelings they had. Now, the rescue comes in and actually gives you stuff that they didn't actually have in the film, because there was some stuff there that there was one thing you would not believe that actually happened. That if you put in a film, you could not put in a film. Like, one of the rescue guys actually fell for someone from Thailand not long before the event. She went back home, kind of visa was up or something, or she had to arrange something, and she lived pretty close to where the event happened. So then, when the flood happened, he had to go out because he was a cave diver, one of the top cave divers, and she was there, basically. So it was like, that's something you couldn't put in a film because no one would believe it. But you see her interviews throughout about her involvement in it. It's like, yeah, you could never do that film. But it's like, they don't even try in this thing. It's like, no, we're not even doing that. People think we're going to actually just, are making stuff up. So the film is written by Will Nicholson, who's a good writer. And the strength of it is it compresses stuff you need compressed. And it sticks to the facts. And it's basically about the people trying to rescue these boys. You get the boys at the beginning, you get them throughout, enough so you get to know the characters, and you get certain characters, you just have to know of who they are. But they're not the central characters, they're the people getting rescued. Having tandem shots of them would make the film really weighty and depressing, and I didn't realise you have to work it out as you go. Like, I'm pretty sure they shot more scenes of the boys and they cut it out. When they realise, to get the balance right, I'm sure. Because that's what films do, they shoot more scenes than they need. So this feels like the balance is slowly through the editing process, like how much the boys you need to get the emotional point. But a lot of the emotional stuff is taking place in 13 Lives by the parents who are waiting on the boys. One of the interesting things you find out in both the documentary and the film is quite a lot of them come from other countries, because this is at the border. So quite a few of them weren't even like national citizens. They make the point of one boy not being a citizen. And the mother was worried they're both going to get deported. in actual fact, you find in documentaries quite a few of them that weren't. And it was kind of just overlooked, and they were made citizens after the event, really, basically. Which happens in the film as well. But they cut it down from a bunch of them to one boy. And in that boy, you get a lot of his mother asking questions all the time, and she's the main emotional focus. And the actress plays us really good. I mean, the acting on the 13 Lives is good throughout. There's some accent stuff here that was much worse in the trailer. I don't know if they toned it down in the film or just you get used to it in the film. So Viggo Mortensen plays a guy, an English guy, and his accent's pretty good. Colin Farrell's the other guy, and Colin Farrell's accent's better. He's Irish. He knows English slang. There's a flatness to the English voice in certain regions that obviously Farrell understood and he could do it. And Viggo Mortensen's got such an expressive voice. He was trying his best, but it was always a bit more expressive than an average English guy in that accent would do. So it was always a bit off, but Colin Farrell was good at it, and he managed to keep it right. But they'll try to do it so you get a sense of these are stoic guys. We actually see the documentary The Rescue, they're actually less stoic than they were in the film. But the big difference between the film and the documentary is the fact that the documentary is them talking about it afterwards a lot of the time. And they're more relaxed, physically more relaxed. When you see them in the footage, they look more tired. In the documentary, they're more relaxed. They can look back and stuff and say, we did that right, we did that wrong. It's not the person you saw in the location. And that gives it a much more human quality, so they're less stoic. In the film, it's them in the situation. It's in the fiction film, it's them in the situation, but they're going to be less fun because they're dealing with a possible tragedy. So that's the big difference between both of them, and it affects the films in a sense that The Rescue can be a bit more light and a bit more humorous at certain points than 13 Lives. 13 Lives has some humour. There's a bit with, there's a whole thing about custard creams, like Viggo Mortensen takes 2 custard creams from Colin Farrell's packet, and he said only take 1. And it's like a regional thing that anyone from Britain will get straight away, and it tells you exactly who the characters are. But that kind of stuff is not in the film. But it's just a thing about trust, and it's a bit of a joke about trust because obviously these guys trust each other. But they like to just poke each other a little bit, which actually works really well. When later on, another guy, Harry, comes in, and that's Joel Edgerton, and he's another aspect. And there's a bit later on you find out his father dies after they pull all the kids out, which actually happened in real life. I thought they made it up for the film, and turns out it wasn't. It happened in real life. There's certain things in people's private lives you don't get. You get in the documentary, you don't get in the film. Like the Joel Edgerton character's his wife is a big part of the documentary. She's not in the film. The girlfriend of the Viggo Mortensen character, who's Thai, isn't in the film. But it's a case of it's too cluttered because they need to deal with the Thai authorities, the Thai Navy SEALs, the politics involved, the difficulties of the cave diving, and how you have to try and train these Navy SEALs, who are the best divers in the country, and then getting told, you're not good enough for this thing, you don't have the skills for this, because you need to do a cave diver. And it's about them learning how these cave divers actually are the experts for this kind of thing. They have the patience and knowledge and the kind of the self-discipline not to use up all the oxygen by panicking and things like that. And it's stuff like that they learn, that they're the ones who end up creating the path to the children and finding children, because their experience, they don't panic under these circumstances. And later on they bring in other people they know, when they realise they're going to have to bring the kids out unconscious, drugged up, because there's no way to get into the cave. They have to bring them out, and there's no way a kid will not panic and use up all their air. So they have to drug them, and drug them again halfway through to keep them unconscious so they don't use up all their air, so they can get them out of the cave. And that's the big tense stuff in the second half of both films, basically, is getting these kids out. That's the big tension bit. Because there are complications. And basically, the point of view of the divers is some kids are going to die. And no one dies. There are some close calls, but no one dies. There's some panic situations, but no one dies. But I mean, before they even think of that idea, like the cave divers, after they found the kids, is like they're ready to give up because like, there's no way we can do this. There's no way in and out of the caves. They're ready to go home because like there's no way. They say they've ashamed themselves, but logically there was no way until they thought this idea, and they got the Paladin who knew how to do it, but didn't want to do it because it was a stupid idea. It's like, this is a desperate idea. This is a dumb idea. It's like, you only do this when you're really desperate, not desperate enough to try it. And that's the tension thing, is that the thing in both films actually get across is how difficult it is to cave dive in the best of times by yourself, and how much more difficult it is to actually do this thing as dragging these kids. You have to go in and out to bring them food and bring them air and stuff like that, and make sure they've got some supplies. And there's some people who actually go in to help them and end up getting trapped there as well because they use too much of their supply. So there's lots of stuff getting equipment in and out, and you've got other people above the cave because there's lots of little cracks that flood the cave while it's raining, so they have to try and block those things off or divert the rain away from those holes, away from any other holes, so that the cave doesn't get flooded even more. So you've got all that stuff going on at the same time, and they're trying to get everything out before monsoon season. So when monsoon season hits, the whole cave's going to flood and everyone's going to die. And they've also got air problems as well, because the air doesn't have enough oxygen in it as well. So that's making it much harder for the kids too. So there's all these problems they have to work out, and the good thing about both films is it's about all those details that are actually going to build up and cause havoc, and it's making life a lot more difficult. So I would definitely say both films are worth watching. You might not do not do what I did. I watched them both pretty close together for this video, but you probably want a gap between them. But they're both worth watching for different things. I mean, the wider view of the situation is in a documentary. It gives you much more details around about it stuff. But the you are there thing is much more of the film. Is like it's about the situation with people who do not know the end result. You don't have talking heads saying how all it came out, and it's all about the difficulties of it all. But both films are about how difficult it was to do, and they're both good films. I mean, I think it's one of Ron Howard's strongest films because he cuts out all the crap he sometimes does and just focuses on the story. And he has a good writer writing it. He has good actors doing it, and he hires actors who know they're not the centre of attention, who know that they have to pull back sometimes and let other people dominate. Like, who know basically half the story is the Thailand people. I just almost said Taiwanese there. You know, it's all about Thailand, the politics, the Navy SEALs, all the other stuff. It's about them as well. And they've got generous actors who know it's not just about them. They're going to have their points, they're going to have their moments in the film, but it's not just about them too. So, both films are worth seeing. So, hope you enjoyed this video. That's me for now. I'll be back later. Bye.